morning. Welcome in civics class. As we are discussing our chapter number 5, that is judiciary. In our previous class, we had already discussed about the role and importance of judiciary. How judiciary is important, how it checks and controls the power of legislature and executive. So today we will discuss our next subtopics like what is independent judiciary, what is Supreme Court, what are the role of Supreme Court, and what are the structures of the courts. So let's start our class.
What is an independent judiciary? Before going to establish what is a necessity for establish an independent judiciary, let us have an example. If a politician who is in power, who is elected by the people, tries to capture any land which belongs to a common man, who may not be so powerful, who may not be so influential, who may not be well known to other public in the society, and if there is no separation or establishment of independent judiciary, then if the politician only will appoint the judge, if the politician has the authority to remove the judge from his power, then we can assume that even though the common man reaches to the court and files a petition or complains about the arbitrary actions of the elected politician, the judgment would definitely be in the favor of politician but not in favor of the person who is a victim here. Why? Because ultimately the power of the judiciary is interlinked with the power of the politician. When the politician only can appoint the judge and remove the judge, keeping this problem in view, the framers of the Constitution, the forefathers of Indian Constitution, rightly divided the powers on the basis of separation of power. They separated the power of making the laws to the legislative, executing the laws to the executive, and checking the laws made by the legislature and whether they are implemented properly by the executive or not was entrusted with the responsibility of the judiciary. And the judges were not entitled to be subordinate either with the legislature or with the executive. They are having very little power to appoint the judges. Once the appointment of the judge is done, the removal of the judge is very difficult procedure which cannot be done so easily. This kind of tough situation and ensured tenure has been given to the judicial judges because they can behave impartial even though the most powerful person is on the opposite side against a common man who has done a severe crime. The judges can do judgment without getting influenced by powerful person or without getting any warnings from them because they have the safety of their tenure and they cannot be removed by any politician, any leader who has power of making laws. So this kind of independent judiciary is highly required to ensure that the strong will not corrupt the interest of the weak. The strong will not exploit the weaker sections. So, like this, the independent judiciary is very required for us when it comes to a society like India, where many of them are still under poverty line. More than 30 crore people today are under the poverty and suffering a lot. And 10 to 20 crore people come under the category of middle classes, where they own a small plot, small piece of land. When these powerful people try to curb them, and if this kind of independent judiciary is not there, then it is very difficult for them to fight against the corrupt politicians or to get justice from the courts. So, basing on the Montesquieu's The Spirit of Law, the separation of power has been done between the legislature, executive and judiciary, and the judiciary has been entitled powerful power of independent nature, where they can act against the laws which are passed by the legislature or against the executives, that is the politicians who are curbing the interest of the interests or the officers or bureaucrats, top civil servants, anybody who are acting against the interest of the public or who are violating the basic rights can be brought into trial, and if this proven, they can even be punished by the Supreme Court. That's why it is highly required to have an independent judiciary like what we have in our country, where it has an apex court and which looks after and guides all the other courts, like how to give the judgments and how the judgment given by the Supreme Court. Our next subtopic is structures of the courts. Structures of the courts in India, we have the courts at the district level, then we have subordinate court. For example, in Arunachal Pradesh, we have 25 districts. In all the 25 districts, we have a district court and subordinate courts, the session courts at the town level, the village level, and at the district level, we have the district court. And above this, for all the districts together, we have the state high court. The state high court is the highest authoritative court in the state. And similarly, we have 24 high courts all over India. Some states shares common high courts like Punjab and Haryana shares a common high court of Chandigarh. Andhra Pradesh and Telangana shares a common high court in Hyderabad, and the northeastern states like Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, they shares a common high court located at Guwahati. So all high courts comes under the apex court, that is the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court is the highest court in our country. Moving to the lowest court, where the authority of the Supreme Court or the decisions which are passed by the Supreme Court are binding on the high courts as well as on all the district courts. So once if any judgment is given by Supreme Court, the judgment will be followed as a guideline. Well, other courts, when they are giving the judgments, once if any case is decided by the Supreme Court through particular evidences and gave a judgment saying this is wrong, where all the other courts like at the district level, the session level, at the metropolitan level or at the high court level, when they get a similar kind of case, then they also uphold the same judgment given by the Supreme Court. This kind of authority by the Supreme Court is known as uplifted authority. Uplifted authority means we can appeal till the highest court. If you feel that there is no proper judgment done, like once you get in district court or trial courts, any judgments, and if you are not satisfied with the judgment given here, you can go to the high court. Even if in the high court, if you are not satisfied, then you can go to the Supreme Court. So that is the final point of judgment. Let us see an example for this, for uplifted authority. In February 1980, Lakshman got married to 20-year-old Sudha Goyal. So the Lakshman Chandra got married to Sudha Goyal, and it was in the month of December. The date was 2nd of December 1980. Sudha Goyal was found dead. She was burned alive and she was killed. She was tortured for getting more dowry, fees, other operators, and more amount of cash, and which she denied. And on the 1st December night, when the neighbors were asked for the witnesses, they told it clearly that Sudha Goyal's mother-in-law has put the kerosene on the sari and wrapped her in gunny bag and covered with the blanket, and they gave the spark of light and burned her alive. When she was fighting for her life, she died in front of all the other neighbors when they are watching her burning. Looking in this, in the trial court, when they went there in 1980, the trial court gave judgment of life imprisonment of or death of all the three people: Lakshman, his mother, and his brother Subhas, who is the brother-in-law of Sudha. So these three were given the punishment, severe punishment of hanged to death. In November 1983, they approached to the High Court appealing that the Sudha Goyal's death was not a pre-planned murder. It was not done by them. It was an accident when she was cooking in the kitchen. Her sari got sucked with the fire and she burned herself. They don't have anything to do with this. It was a tragedy which happened in our family. With this version, they went to the High Court and they appealed in November 1983 as there are no proper evidences supporting to them. The High Court has given judgment saying that these people are innocent and Sudha Goyal died due to accident in the kitchen. In 1993, this judgment of the High Court brought up a great approach in the women, especially about the dowry death all over the country. The concerns were raised and the issues were discussed seriously, and this was taken to the notice of the Supreme Court, where Supreme Court went into the details and conducted the investigations and studied about the case in details and found that these three were really guilty, but gave a exemption to Subhas, the brother of Lakshman, who is brother-in-law of Sudha, to exempt from the punishment, and the other two were given lifetime imprisonment for killing the innocent Sudha Goyal for not bringing more dowry. So asking for dowry has been made illegal, and any kind of tortures which are being triggered with the concept of dowry will be punished very seriously. This message was sent by the Supreme Court through judgment in 1985. So from now, any kind of crimes which are committed because of not bringing sufficient amount of dowry, so asking dowry itself is illegal, and if you force anyone to give more dowry, which means you will be in trouble, because the Supreme Court does not support anyone to take dowry. And if it is finds anyone taking dowry, it would give severe punishment to them. So all this gives for us how the structure of the court is there in our country, the judicial system works, and how we can have the uplifted authority for all of us. If we are not justified with one kind of judgment, if you feel that the judgment meted to you was not appropriate, you can take it to the notice of the higher court or the apex court. So this much for today. We will continue this chapter in our next class.